Hey guys, now before I begin, there was a mix-up that would have caused me to miss out on a spoiler for you guys. So firstly, I'd like to thank Tim Schilder, Fabian Weber, and Kageyama for fixing that and giving me this opportunity. Also a big thanks to Nan Pessenreeve and Tim Chambers for getting in contact with those people and chasing this up and supporting me. So thanks very much to those people. But without further ado, here is Royal Ripeness, a 5 CP fire monster. Royal Ripeness cannot be chosen by fire summons or fire abilities, and for 1 fire CP until the end of the turn, he becomes a forward with 9,000 power, and when he attacks, deal 3,000 damage to all forwards opponent controls. You can only use this ability once per turn. That's just the transform ability. Now, straight away, it's based on its chapters card, which is very similar. It's in Japanese, but you can see the only differences are that its transform in chapters cost 2 fire, and it did 4,000 instead of 3,000. But I think this Opus version is noticeably better, mainly because it transforms for 1 instead of 2, so it's much more reasonable to use it as a body. And that's good, because this is the biggest transformer. It is a huge body, 9,000 power, for a body that can't really be removed by things like Alcid Onion Knight, all those kind of non-instant speed removals. So you've got this massive body that you have access to block with when you need, which a lot of things won't be getting through. So I think that's quite good, makes it noticeably better than a lot of the Transformers. Its ability protection effect, which is it cannot be chosen by fire summons or fire abilities, that is obviously a double-edged sword, because you also can't target it with your own fire summons or fire abilities. However, I think overall that's an advantage, because here are some of the cards that could hit Royal Ripeness if you didn't have that effect. Bahamut and Teller and Shadow would all be able to remove it at instant speed and do enough damage to one-shot it. And then Red Mage, really not being able to be Red Mage really helps with it having that massive blocker body. They can't just use Red Mage after you transform it to take that blocker away. So it actually could be, that protection effect could be quite a nuisance in the mirror match, or just against fire decks in general. Although the cards that you cannot use yourself on it, Bellius is one of the main ones. You won't be able to use that as a combat trick to, buff it up to 10k, give it first strike, etc. Goblin and Savvy is not that big a deal. I don't think you really need to give this haste or an unbreakable effect very often. So the main one is probably Sage. You won't be able to use Sage on your Ripeness to make its ability do 5,000 instead of 3,000. So that definitely could come up as a drawback. But in general, I think the things it's protected from is a lot better than the things that you can't use on it. Now, for cards to combo with it, its ability to deal 3,000 to all your opponent's forwards. Obviously, we're looking for cards that you can combo with that to clear your opponent's board. Go hard or go home. And I think, in my opinion, the best one for sure, I reckon the most reliable, you don't need that much to get this to work, is Bomb. There's another fire monster. The good thing about these cards together is they're both monsters, and monsters currently are very hard to remove. So you can just play these monsters at whatever point, and they're probably going to stick around until you see the other ones. You might even see 2 bombs or something like that. But yeah, just having these 2 monsters out at once, in one turn, you can transform, do 3,000, do bombs effect 4,000 to all. That's 7,000 damage to your opponent's board for 2 CP. And that's enough to kill a lot of things. Things like Alcid Onion Knight, Lock, Setzer, Genesis. There are definitely a lot of boards that will actually clear, or a lot of forwards that you can clear at once with those abilities together. Of course, if you need to go a little bit further, Fire has cards like Summoner and Palom, which make both abilities do 1k more, which will mean you're doing 9,000, which is much, that's probably going to kill most boards. So there's definitely a lot of threats of board clears with these cards together that are kind of hard for your opponent to get around. It's also nice that if you were to use Bomb first, Ripeness won't take the damage because it's still a monster. Although, in general, I think I would rather transform Ripeness first, attack, just to make sure the attack goes through, because that's probably the one they're going to be able to stop. Bomb's much harder for them to stop. There are a lot of other cards you can combo with this, though. A lot of specials in particular. Cryo is a really cheap one. 6,000 to all your opponent's forwards, plus the 3,000 Ripeness. Again, that's 9,000, which is probably going to clear your opponent's board, and that's only 2 CP, as well as a Cryo in your hand. Phoenix is a fire card as well, which can bring Cryo back. They even have another Phoenix now, which they can also use on Cryo. So that's probably reasonable to put together in like a Fire Earth deck. Although, of course, within Fire, we have plenty of options. Sabin and Vivi, in particular, those abilities do a lot of damage. Usually the drawback is that they hit your own forwards as well. But of course, Ripeness is a monster normally. So you can use your Sabin or VV AoE ability first. It won't hit Ripeness because he's still a monster. And of course, Sabin can protect himself with his own ability too. And then attack with the Ripeness and do the extra damage and probably clear most boards. 10,000, 11,000, that is huge. Leo bit less potent, only 5,000 to all your opponent's forwards opponent controls with his special, and there's not additional copies of him. Although his on-attack ability works alright with Ripeness anyway. I mean, there are 5,000 things around, things like Realm and like Chocobos, littler things that you'll be able to ping off with Leo and Ripeness together. There are a lot more fire kind of ping cards, so the main good thing about Ripeness is that once it's out, it's basically 3,000 damage whenever you want it, you know, because most of the time its attack will be going through because it's 9,000 power. That's, you know, reliable to attack with, and having that 3,000 extra damage around when you need it can really help like push ping effects over the edge. So VV Black Mage Cannoneer, you've got all these efficient 5,000 damage effects, but normally 5,000 isn't quite enough. But, you know, when you've got the 3,000 readily available on top of that, you can really ping off some decent forwards for really cheap. And of course, we've got Zand, who can do 5,000 for free every turn. You know, the staple of mono fire. So yeah, actually, I think Ripeness actually fits pretty well in mono fire as it is. Of course, fire has been pushed in that direction a lot, which is kind of annoying. Although it is a kind of pet deck of mine, or it was in Opus 2 at least, until fire hasn't really got a lot of support. So hopefully it will be good enough again. I think, you know, we're heading in the right direction. There are some more things. I want to point out that Ripeness is basically, it's almost like a Palamon crack once it's out. You can also think about its effect as basically making all your effects do 3,000 more. Obviously it costs 1 CP to do that each turn, but and it gets stopped by Minwu as well, and also Emperor. But Fire does have the more tools to deal with those things now. Fire can actually run the legendary Sephiroth now because of Shadow. So the drawback of Sephiroth before was that it's a hugely expensive card that if it's not useful, it's going to sit dead in your hand. Where Shadow lets you get rid of that to do a lot of damage to something, so that's actually really nice. So you can use Sephiroth to get rid of Minwu, and then we've got Bahamut to clear Emperor. So yeah, a lot of the things that would counter this, Fire has the tools to deal with. Lightning is another really good element to pair with this card, mainly because it's almost like a Fire Cactuar. It's you know, you've got this readily available damage that you can deal to your opponent's forwards, so you can activate things like Orlando and Angel Penance, and it's kind of cool with Angel Penance as well. You get the attack, deal 3,000 to everything, and then when Angel Penance attacks, their forwards are going to have taken damage, so you're probably going to be either trading up or just killing something, so they're probably going to have to block that penance, which means they're probably going to lose a forward anyway. Gilgamesh has really cheap way to do targeted ping damage, so if your opponent's got like a board of kind of varying power forwards, you can attack with Ripeness, deal the 3k, and then kind of use Gilgamesh to target the ones that you can kill with the amount of damage you need. And then of course, you know, your Onion Knight lying around, maybe you don't have our Sid, and like that, you can use Ripeness to actually get the value out of that Onion Knight. You know, kill an 8k for a 3 cost 6k. It's very solid. Just some other cards that you can do with this. Obviously, you've got Barbarisha the Heroic. That'll be a board clear. I mean, historically, Fire can do that pretty easily anyway with things like Summoner and Palom. But Barbarisha, the other Barbarisha though, that's a really good card, and Ripeness works really well with that. Genesis Avatar, you could probably clear some 7k boards with that kind of effect. The Mumba will always kill something if you've used your Ripeness, etc. Yeah, so as you can see, there's a lot of cards you can combo with this. And just the fact that, again, it's the biggest transformer in the game. So that normally, it's kind of funny, I've talked a lot of crap about Transformers around Opus 4, when Opus 4 was first announced and when it was first revealed. I talked about the cards in there. I thought a lot of the Transformers were not that good because I don't want to have to pay CP for a card I've already paid for. You know, you pay CP to play the card, and then it's not even a card yet. You have to pay it every turn you want to make it a card. But I think it's much better in Ripeness' case, but not only because it's 9,000, so it is a much more reliable, threatening blocker. Also, the fact that it's not just a body when you transform it, it's also that ability, which has huge potential depending what other cards you have with it. You know, having that one, it's basically a 1 mana Valifor, like the summon that does 3k to your opponent's forward. That's a 1 CP way to do that, and Valifor is normally worth like 4 CP, unless you have Yuna. But, I just think it's a really cool card that you can do a lot of cool stuff with. So I'm kind of glad that I got a card like this to show you guys and talk about. Yeah, thanks for watching though. I hope that's helped, you know, think about some of the cool stuff you can do. And thanks again to all those people and the Square Enix officials for giving me this chance. Cheers for watching, guys.